You like shooters? You like Nintendo? You like squids and or kids? Then Splatoon is the game for you. That was basically the marketing campaign the original Splatoon went for, and the second game went after following the success of it. But did it succeed? And what is Splatoon Fever? Hey everyone, today I'm talking about Splatoon 2 and the symptoms of Splatoon Fever. Splatoon was an interesting game. It was a third-person behind-the-back shooter where you played as a kid, a squid kid. These squid kids had the ability to shoot ink from their guns. Covering the ground in your ink would allow you to swim in it in squid form and regain ink while going faster, and you're able to go up ink-covered walls while swimming. In Turf War, whoever had the most ground covered with ink in the end would win. Kills didn't matter that much in this game, although they gave you extra ink coverage. The game ended up as one of the most successful games of the Wii U, although that isn't saying much as the Wii U itself wasn't successful. Anyways, the game deserved a sequel or remake on a more successful console, and that's where Splatoon 2 comes in. Fast forward a few years and the new Nintendo Switch is out and is selling like mad. Everyone wants their hands on this thing and it's getting the attention it deserves. After Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart released, Splatoon 2 followed. It was an instant hit with it being one of the main games marketed with the Switch, and is now considered one of the best games on the Switch as of now. But fast forward a few months and you see people on Twitter complaining about how they regret purchasing the game, people stopped playing it as often, it never really came up in conversation anymore, and in general no one seems to care about it or want to play it anymore. This is what I'd call Splatoon Fever. Mostly evident after the first Splatfest, it's when you've constantly been playing Splatoon, and you just can't play it anymore, without getting bored or just wishing to play something else. Heck, while recording footage for this video, I didn't even want to play the game after a while. But what causes this? Personally, my take on this is that after playing Splatoon 1, people stopped playing it after the first few months, as is with most multiplayer games when played casually, but then Splatoon 2 releases. When Splatoon 2 was announced, people got hyped up. Your perception about how great the original was is skewed from not playing it for a long while, and how good this one looks makes your expectations for the old one rise. So once Splatoon 2 released, it was the same gameplay as Splatoon 1, and thus felt a little boring and kinda weird to play after a little while. Even if the game is great, your expectations rising beyond realistic levels make it feel bad to play, and you will get sick of it really fast. Personally, I'm not as affected by this, even if I was really hyped for the game upon announcement, but I have seen Splatoon Fever take place in multiple other people, even to the point of full-on returning the game. So how does Splatoon 2 hold up as a game? Keep in mind I'm trying to be unaffected by Splatoon Fever as much as possible, and review the game as a separate thing from Splatoon 1. So this game's gameplay, as I mentioned before, is mostly just shooting the ground to cover the ground with your ink, running away from enemies, or attacking and defending against them, and mixing up your coverage with bombs and specials. This, however, is only the gameplay of Turf War. There's also ranked battles, which have multiple modes. There's Splat Zones, where one or two specific sections of the map are highlighted for the two teams to fight over. This mode is extremely chaotic, but really fun, honestly. And there's Rainmaker, in which a golden dragon head spawns in the middle of the map with a shield around it, and both teams must rush to the middle to get it. And once one team breaks the shield and a player gets it, they have to bring it back to their home base. The Rainmaker itself can be used as a weapon, but it takes a while to charge, so you're vulnerable while using it. Lastly, we have Tower Control. In this mode, there's a small tower at the center of the map, where if a team gets their ink, or a player on it, it will start moving towards their base. However, if enemy team's ink gets on it, or a player, it will halt progress and start bringing the tower back to the other side. Whoever gets it to their home base first, wins. Out of all the ranked modes, my favorite has to be Tower Control. It's just so chaotic and fun and frantic, and the great sense of accomplishment when you win is unrivaled. There's two more modes, however, Story Mode and Salmon Run, which is new to Splatoon 2. In Story Mode, you do what you would expect. You go through a story where Marie from the Squid Sisters' sister, or cousin, I guess, Callie, has been kidnapped and you must find her. I really love this mode, not just for the challenge it presents, but mostly for the bosses. They're just so stylized and unique, not to mention the music of the final boss, which I'm not gonna show cause spoilers. And then there's Salmon Run, which is where you fight a horde of these weird creatures which look like they're in constant pain 24/7 off, and you have 3 waves to do it. Each wave has a required amount of salmon eggs which drop from boss salmonoids. These waves get progressively harder and harder and occasionally have events on them like a night wave or tides rising. Overall, this mode is awesome. It's really stressful too, though the key to it is definitely keeping your cool and focusing on coordinating your team to fight boss salmonoids. One thing I forgot to mention in full is that the music for this game is really good, packed full of tracks for battling with other squid kids or fighting a boss, and I love it. Listen to it if you get the chance. Not to say this game is all good though. You of course have the Splatoon fever thing I mentioned earlier, then there's balancing. Oh, I've been waiting to rant about balancing. If you're a level 1 player just starting out, you can find level 24 players who absolutely destroy you, and you can't do anything. Then you can be a level 30 player who has all level 5s on their team, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Balancing just seems way off, and it's been that way since the first Splatoon. Nintendo seems to just have never bothered to fix it, and I don't know why. I'd get it if Splatoon lobbies were never full, but there always seem to be active players, so I don't know. Overall, Splatoon 2 is a great game that brings a lot of new things to the table, while also presenting itself with the same problems the old one had, and repetitious gameplay which may give you a case of Splatoon fever, so it's getting an 8 out of 10 for me. Great, but needs some minor improvements for it to be really great. Also, one quick thing I forgot to mention. You know how Splatfests are a thing? Yeah? Well, vote over because putting toilet paper under makes you a terrible person. That's all for now. Good.